In a fast-paced world, every day brings new challenges and new opportunities. At Strayer University, we know a thing or two about getting and staying ahead of change. For over 130 years, we've been providing students like you with innovative tools, customized support, and an education built to empower you, so you can find your way forward and always keep striving. Visit strayer.edu to learn more.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Who remembers the BJ and Bill show all those years ago on WOLZ? Well, many have said they missed the show, and guess what? They're back. Welcome to the BJ and Bill podcast.
Welcome to BJ and Bill, the podcast, episode 34. And please give us a 5-star review as you listen to the podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcast. And we are just a part of the Podcast Playground Network.
Yes, we are the Podcast Playground Network. And you were on another podcast since the last time we talked. You were on another one of those company podcasts. Awesome.
Yes, and it dropped yesterday, Tuesday. It's called The Vinyl Boys. My son gets together with a bunch of yahoos.
Okay.
And they discuss like an album. They discussed Queen's greatest hits this week.
Oh,
and,
nice.
They let the old man be part of the broadcast. And of course, they made sure that they told everyone I was the old man in the group.
But I'm guessing you're probably the only guy. If you were the old man, you were probably the old guy who ever heard those songs when they originally came out on the radio.
Yes, I was the old guy that played those songs when they
I remember
came out on the radio.
I remember it well. Oh yes, I remember that well. Yeah. So cool. Good for you. Yeah,
I was kind of impressed because one of the they all know me,
right?
And I get along with all of them, but one guy in particular, Memphis, seemed to be quite impressed that I was on the show with him, and he says, "Man, we had a legend on the show today." Somebody better talk to that boy.
You're sure he wasn't talking about the album, about the Queen album? Because that's kind of legendary, but you could have been a legend. You could have been.
I don't know. The way he was talking to me, he goes, "Man, it was cool, man. We had a legend on our show today."
A legend. Oh, man. That's awesome. A legend.
So, if Memphis, you're listening, I love you, Memphis. You're a great guy. Nobody else. My son didn't say I was a legend. The two other guys in the building didn't say I was a legend, but Memphis said I was a legend.
Legend. I am so taking notes on that, and that is so going on our show notes. Join legend BJ Odom, and Bill Stevens is there too.
I think though, if you look it up in the dictionary, legend means old guy.
It might. It just might. Yeah. But it's also like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. I don't know. It's back there. It's old. It's old. Whatever it is, it's old. Yeah.
But it was cool to hang with them and, be a part of the podcast. I actually, I enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
I was the old guy.
That's totally awesome. Well, good. I'm glad you had a wait for it, legendary show. There you go. Yes.
I'm also excited because, of course, we record this on a Monday.
Yes.
Which is May the 1st. Of course,
yes,
it'll be late, but I want to say happy birthday to my daughter.
Okay.
And it is also my birthday month.
You don't get a month. When you're a 16-year-old girl, you get a month.
I figured if they can, as old as I'm a legend, damn it.
Oh, that's right.
I can have a month too.
The legendary BJ on the birthday month. And just in time for also, if you're of a British persuasion, then this is the inauguration of King Charles is coming this week, I think is Saturday as we record this, I believe. Thought I saw that. So yeah,
Okay, well, my
you're
birthday
you're
isn't
in good
for a few
company.
more weeks.
What's that?
My birthday isn't for a few more weeks.
Oh, okay. Well, you
I
had to
guess
make
I'll
room.
miss it.
Had to let the king do his thing, and then oh, by the way, it's BJ's birthday too. So I'm sure he'll do a shout out at his coronation for you.
I'd like to say happy birthday to the legend.
The legend, the man, the myth, the legend. BJ Odom.
Hey, I had that hat.
You had the hat? The man,
I have
the
the
myth?
hat
Yeah.
says the man, the myth, the legend.
I think I remember that. That's how, set the Wayback Machine. Wow. Okay. So other than that, Mr. Legend, how you doing this week?
Pretty good.
Yeah, your Warriors are moving on. My Cavaliers are out.
I'm going to be honest with you. I went into that game thinking, oh man, I don't even know if I want to watch this. I felt like, all the pundits said they were going to win it.
Yeah.
And I still had faith, but deep down, I think, well, they're not going to move on. The young guns are going to, show them what they got. But Steph Curry had an amazing game 7. 50 points.
50 points. He dropped 50. Yeah. So Steph was, it was like a 120 to 100 or something like that. It ended up being a blowout. But so, yeah, that was, wow. 50. Nice.
And I will say, and I think I am a Warriors fan only because of Steph Curry. About 3 or 4 years ago,
right?
Maybe 5. I just fell in love with watching him play. He's one of the most amazing players that I remember watching. I was around for Michael Jordan. He was cool, but there's something about, I don't know. Yeah. Something about Steph that is just truly amazing. And they are a magical team. And I'm glad they pulled it off. And now, the other team that I seem to root for.
Another famous guy who's been around for a while and knows how to drop a few points and has beaten Steph in the past.
LeBron James
and the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes.
And I think the reason why I'm a Lakers fan is my son actually DJ'd Kobe Bryant's, I don't know what it was, his retirement party or something.
Oh, really?
And that was at the Staples Center.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that from his connection with Shaq?
Oh, yeah. Because originally, listen to this. Originally, Shaq was supposed to DJ it. And they got there and they got all set up and he goes, "Cuz I just want to mingle. Why don't you do this thing?"
That's pretty huge.
Yeah,
it's
so
it's like showing up for the movie and the star says, "Yeah, no, I don't feel like doing it. Let the other guy do it."
Well, it was all about Kobe though, because it was his retirement. So it really wasn't about Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
And Shaq, being a friend of Kobe, said, "I'll DJ it for you."
Yeah.
Or maybe he just said, "I'll supply a DJ." I don't know. I think he got up and, for maybe a couple minutes, but he basically gave the whole show to Gentry. And he's got some great video too of it. And it was,
awesome.
It was one of those ones where, you saw a lot of people that you knew.
A lot of famous faces from sport. So anyway, that's basketball playoffs coming up. And then we're in the middle of hockey playoffs. I find it interesting now that you're not the big hockey fan that you used to be, but that's another day for another story.
I've kind of faded away. Right. I was sad though that Tampa Bay Lightning
got beat.
Were defeated. They got out of the first round.
Yeah.
But surprisingly enough, the Florida Panthers
won Game 7.
Yep. And they gave it to the Bruins.
Yes.
And that's a pretty good team. And I think it was so funny. I have friends and you do too, because when you're in Florida, you have friends from all over because this is like the melting pot.
Oh, sure. Everybody wants to be your friend when you live in Florida.
So somebody yesterday who was a big Bruins fan put on their Facebook, "I don't want to hear anything about the Bruins if you want to live." So I just had to get on there and I go,
of course.
Okay, I can abide by that. But can I mention the Florida Panthers? And he says, I think, and then his little comment was, if you want to die.
Yeah. If it's trouble you're looking for, it's trouble you found. I got it. That's
So
cool.
I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah. And then, just to round out the sports discussion, the Tampa Bay Rays continue to refuse to lose. I mean, what, they've won 20 and lost 2 or something like that. I mean,
It's
it's
an
crazy.
amazing season for them. I
Amazing.
hope, of course, we are like so early
Mm-hmm.
into the baseball season.
Yeah, nobody's even paying attention yet.
But if they could carry this through the playoffs,
Oh man.
it would be a beautiful thing.
It would be a beautiful thing. So anyway, that's your sports roundup on the BJ and Bill podcast. So there you go. Yeah, that's just to cover all the bases. Man, I'm into the puns this morning. I don't know what's up.
It's really funny. And he didn't do this as a joke. But the first radio station I worked at,
Mm-hmm.
Bill Shorts, that was a gentleman's name.
Okay.
And, he was like, he did it all at the radio station because it was a small market radio station.
Right.
But he was the sports director. And his real name was Shorts. And he went by Bill Shorts
Okay.
on the radio. Now that's like a joke, Shorts with the radio, I don't know.
Yeah.
You've heard
yeah.
that before. Other sportscasters call themselves shorts.
Right.
Sports shorts with shorts.
Or,
I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's like, wow, that was his real name. And he used it like back in the early 70s before it kind of became a joke.
He was funny before it was a meme or whatever.
He was the original Shorts.
Well, speaking of radio people, we're currently now, if you were with us last week, of course, we had the man, the myth, the legend who was Ted Fitzgeorge and still is Ted Fitzgeorge, but he was on the show with us for that show that's the longest show we've ever done, by the way, so far, just because A, we couldn't shut him up, and B, there was so much to talk about. So many good stories. And now we're talking to another former, should we say former legend? Is he still a legend? No, he's not in radio anymore.
He moved to Arizona.
Yeah. We're not going to do any names, but yeah.
And he became a school teacher.
Right.
And of course, people know the BJ and Bill show.
Right.
From WOLZ.
Yes.
He was the very first program director on the scene.
Was he? Was that part of it? I don't remember. I didn't remember that part of his history, but yes, you're right. Now, and again, we're not giving away the name because we haven't firmed up the interview or, the time on the show yet. But I will say that actually this guy, this person, I knew him several years before I knew BJ Odom, because he was also a sort of a management type, like an assistant program director or something like that, at the very first radio station I worked at in Fort Myers, Cape Coral. So
Super Q?
Yes, at 96 Super Q. Dates way, way, way back.
See,
and there's other stories that I'll be able to share. What's that?
You told me something I didn't know about the young man.
He's not so young anymore. He's our age, but yeah. Yes, to all of that. Yes. And yes, you reminded me that he became a school teacher. And I actually, I think during pandemic days when they were doing like school via Zoom, I think I talked to one of his classes as a radio guy or a computer guy or something. I don't remember. I think I talked to one of his classes though about something.
Wow, and that's cool.
Yeah. So anyway,
never asked me to talk in one of his classes.
I can't help you there. But so I think it was.
Doesn't
about
he know I'm a legend?
He does now. We all do now. But honestly, I think it was about computers. I think we were talking about computer business stuff. Yeah. So anyway, hopefully we'll have this gentleman on. I'm sure we will. It'll just be a matter of, because he's, like you said, he's in Arizona, 2-hour time difference.
And he works on the day we record. He works one day a week.
Oh, really? He still works?
I don't know what he does, but he does a job one day a week. And he says, that's my Monday. He works Mondays.
Yeah.
And he could do it any other day.
Okay.
So we're going to try and figure it out. And then I thought we would do it the week after, but then he's in Las Vegas.
Oh, darn.
I don't know if he's performing, if he's losing money, if
sure
he's going to
losing
some
money.
kind of convention. I don't know.
He's not performing. That's for sure. I mean, I don't know that. I'm just guessing he's not performing, and it's probably either a convention or just going to lose some money. That's fine. Just going to contribute, to the Las Vegas Keep the Lights On fund. So,
but I do hope that he comes on because, he was, as I said, the very first program director for WOLZ.
I had
when
forgotten
they very
that.
first went on the air before it was called Joy 95.
Wow.
It was Joy. It was a religious station.
Right.
Joy 95. I don't know if they used the point back then or not, but it was Joy 95.
Wow.
And then another company came in. Forget the name of the company, actually, that bought it. Of course, it became Clear Channel and iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
But he was the program director. And it's going to be a very interesting story when I talk about my first interview. And they were so excited about hiring me. But during the interview, the owner was there.
Yes.
And I put my foot in my mouth.
Oh.
And said something that I should not have said in the interview.
Now, there's a tease if ever there was one. We're going to have to wait for that story when we get this guest on. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
In a world that's constantly changing, you have to move forward to change with it. At Strayer University, we see you striving to work harder and go further. That's why we provide you with the tools you need to get there, like offering a brand new laptop when you enroll in a bachelor's program, so you can do your coursework anytime, anywhere. Because our greatest strength is helping you unlock yours, so you can always keep striving. Visit strayer.edu to learn more. Eligibility rules, restrictions, and exclusions apply. Connect with us for details.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
BJ Odom putting his foot in his mouth is not really it's not a headline news, but to do it in a job interview with the owner of the radio station in the room, that takes it to another level.
Well, put it this way. Marty Berger was in. Oh,
yes.
Marty Berger was in the room.
Yes.
Kevin Pierce was in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Both wanted me really bad to go to work for this particular radio station.
Right.
But it had not changed formats yet.
Oh.
So I went in with an interview. And like I said one of the dumbest things anyone probably has ever said in an interview.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't realize the stupid thing that I said because really I didn't think it was a stupid thing.
Uh-huh.
Now I got your curiosity up, don't I?
Yes, you do. You sure do.
Did I tell the story now and then we can tell it again?
If you want to, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I mean,
you're
that's fine.
interested now, aren't you?
I'm super interested. Yes.
Okay, I go into the interview.
Yes.
The rumors were throughout Southwest Florida.
Yes.
They were changing to a country station.
Oh, okay.
And that's before WCKT, Cat Country,
Right.
became a country station.
Right.
They were not a country station.
Right.
Well, the rumor was that it was going to be this new radio station going to be country. And I heard it was going to be WOLZ.
Okay.
I had worked at WDCQ prior. That's where I was.
WDC. Okay.
Which was an oldies station.
Oh, right.
I went into the interview thinking they were going to be country.
Oh.
You see where this is going?
Yes, I do.
I love country music. It is my favorite format in the entire world. And if I ever have to play Run Around Sue one more time by Dion DiMucci, I'm going to put a bullet in my head.
It's not enough. It's not enough that you insulted. I mean, there was two parts to that. It's not enough that you said, I love country and we're not doing country. You also had to go on and insult oldies and we're going to do oldies. Yes, we want this guy as our morning man. Oh my God, that's wonderful.
And what was funny about it, the program director that was there was putting country music on carts, the tape carts that you play the music on, just to throw everybody off the scent. And I'd already heard that information. So they're setting up for a country station. I love country. I can't wait. I want to be part of this.
Not so fast.
And then I go to find out that CKT had hired Rusty Walker, who is no longer with us, but was probably one of the greatest, and I'm not a big fan of consultants, but was probably the greatest country consultant of all time. He was like the big dog when it came to country music.
Right, right.
And I guess just before OLZ made a call to Rusty Walker, the folks over at CKT had made a call to Rusty Walker and hired him. And so when OLZ, which I don't know what their call letters would have been, maybe they had something else in mind.
Stand by. My phone's ringing. I thought I had it on. Disturb. Sorry about that. Go ahead. So anyway, yes.
But he said, "I'm sorry, I won't be able to take the job.
Right.
I've already signed with another radio station in town."
Wow. So they had. So do you? So they would have been. So you're saying WLZ would have been a country radio station if not
had not hired
and it was that close. I mean, it was like probably within the same month or same week, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Isn't that interesting how life works that way?
I know.
Wow.
And like I said, everybody really wanted me at the radio station.
Yeah.
But Kevin Pierce had tried to hire me many times before.
Yeah.
Because he was at a 770 back when it was oldies.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at WDCQ. And I think he tried to, lure me over there like 2 or 3 times. And he was like one of the first people I called. He said, "Hey, we're starting a brand new radio station over here. We want to interview you." And I'm going, "Yeah," because I've heard all the rumors, Yeah,
Right.
Kevin loves me. Yeah.
Right.
It's going to be a walk in the park. But it was like about 6 months later, they finally brought me over.
Wow.
Somehow they soothed things over with the owner and said, "This is a great guy. He'll do a great job." He thought we were going to go country. He came in, and it took about 6 months, but they finally convinced the owner that he should bring me over.
That's a great. I hadn't heard that story. That is a great story, and that is a fantastic, little BJ Odom history there. So love that. That's great. Wow.
When I didn't get the job, I was just so bummed. And then, of course, they were ready to come on the air. Every radio station always does a big production when they go on the air.
Oh, sure.
And I'm right there going, "Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait." And I'm like, that's why I didn't get the job.
That's fantastic. I remember when Gator Country was just coming on the air. Remember when we were in the office? That's before we moved, before the radio station moved over to College Parkway. We were in an office on Metro Parkway.
Yeah.
And literally the suite, we were on like the 3rd floor. Literally the suite on the 2nd floor was going to be Gator Country.
Right.
Different owners, different company at the time. And they hired me. It's like, "Keep it quiet, Bill. We're not telling anybody." But I would get off the air with you at at Oldies, and I would literally just go downstairs when Gator Country was just coming on the air, same thing. And all they were doing was playing country music, no commercials, straight, just to kind of warm up the audience, kind of what radio stations will do. It's like they'll just play their music, no commercials, no interruptions, no nothing. And that's all I did. So for a couple, 3 hours.
That.
What's that?
I remember you doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
was I working at OLZ at the time?
I don't think so.
That might be where we met, because actually I was the first on-air hire that Gator Country made.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think they had me doing that too before they went on the air.
Right.
So I remember you being in the building. I remember you being.
And I would pester the owner there, or not the owner, but the on-site manager. I forget his name. Nice old guy.
Bernie Brobst.
Yes. Wow. Good memory. I wonder if he's still with us. He was.
Yes, he is. He lives. He must be a swinger. He lives in the Villages.
Oh, wow. In the Villages. And I would hammer him on a weekly basis about hiring me. And it's like, we'll see. Well, we'll see was no, that's not going to happen, Bill. And of course that worked out fine. Cause then, again, you and I ended up on Oldies. So wow, real history lessons here today, folks. Wow. Interesting how that worked. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it. Those days are gone. None of that stuff matters anymore. None of that stuff is how business is done anymore. It's so corporate, whatever.
I don't know, but I was actually hired there before the program director.
Really?
Yeah, I was hired first. And then it was Paul Orr was hired as program director, and he was going to do afternoons.
Right.
And then they hired Carson and Kayla.
Right.
Which Kayla and Scott's his real name.
Yeah.
It was Carson and Kayla.
Yep.
And then they brought on Mark the Shark.
Yep.
For nights. That was the original lineup of Gator Country. Of course, it's, like all stations, it's, evolved as different things, different ways. Right. Not different things, though. It's still been Gator Country.
Mm-hmm.
But we were the 20 in a row station back then, played 20 songs in a row 3 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like the moniker. We had a great consultant too there. It was Les Aikens. Not Aiken, Les Acree.
Okay.
And he was just a phenomenal.
I don't know the consultant names in the country music business, but yeah, that's the name's familiar. So yeah, cool. Yeah. And they obviously made an impact. Like you said, they're still doing what they were doing. I mean, how many stations can you say have been doing? I mean, that's 20 years, 25 years. Well, they're still the same format.
Yeah. CKT was there before them, and they're still playing country music.
Wow.
And
that's
Gator
impressive.
Country. Then there's 3 country stations in Fort Myers now.
Wow.
Meridian or Fort Myers Broadcasting or
right.
What I always call them the Wink Building. I've been in that building quite a few times too.
Yeah, tell me about it. We are just we're filling up the hopper with old radio business stories today, folks. So sorry that you're not, privy to all of them, but it was interesting times. I mean, that's, I think, the key. I think the bottom line, I think if you want to, whatever the word is, that those to me were more interesting times in the radio business, because it was like there was real competition. Everybody was like, who can one up the other guy, and our morning show is better than your morning show, and all of that sort of thing. It mattered then. It mattered, and I don't think it does as much anymore.
And what I liked about those days too, you only had one. Like I said, you might have had an AM and an FM,
right?
But you only had one station. Well, like I said, you might have had an AM, so you might have had 2.
Right.
Like I remember when I first came to town, there was Wink AM and Wink FM. There was an AM FM combination.
Right.
And I think that might have been the only AM FM combination there was in town.
I think so, yeah.
But there was and they're still around. There was like 3 or 4. There was like 3 or 4 AMs, 5 or 6 FMs. And Seaview was big back then. If you
Oh yeah.
remember, they were the beautiful music station.
Beautiful music station.
All beautiful all the time.
I know, and we were young people at the time, and we never listened to it, but we never recognized how much money they made because of all the old people listening. Yeah.
But you got, like I said, you got to town before I did because you got to work at Super Q.
Yes.
I had sent them many of tapes, and they never got back to me.
And I'll just in the 2 or 3 minutes before the break, I will spill the beans on how I got that job. And the answer is I knew the program director. He was my grad student because he was only like 2 years older than I was. He was the grad student that was the program director of the AM radio station at the college at Ohio University. Not Ohio State University. No, not those clowns in Columbus. Sorry. Ohio University, Athens, Ohio. And we had a gigantic, because we were the only radio station down there in Southeast Ohio, down, in coal country toward Marietta and across the river from Parkersburg, West Virginia. Woo. But we were the only big signal AM FM combo there. And so anyway, AM was all news and talk. FM was country music, and the young man, his name was Rick. Wait. His name was Rick Dreves. And he wasn't even a broadcasting major. He was like a city planner or something like that. But he liked the radio business, and he was a managerial guy. He wasn't a radio guy. He was a management guy. And so he was the manager of that radio station. And I worked for him in college for 3 years. Super nice guy. And when I was unemployed and living and freezing my butt off in Columbus, Ohio, shortly after getting married in 1980 or 81 or something like that, the phone rings and he says, "Hey, I'm in Fort Myers, Florida. Come and work for me." And I said, "Great, love to. Where the hell is that?" And that's how I got to Fort Myers. So there you go.
Now, see, when 96 Super Q first came to town, I know some of the history, even though I wasn't in town, because I was always fascinated with that market, because my parents had a place in Fort Myers. And WMYR, AM 1410, was, because back in those days, and everybody's going to know this if they have any age on them at all, the AMs were the superpower rock stations. Like, I grew up near the Chicago area. WLS, getting it said for Chicago. That was like, the big AM station that played the top 40 songs, that had every young person in the whole region listening.
Same as any major city, same as any big city. Yeah.
And back in the day, WMYR was the big flame throwing AM station playing top 40 music.
Yep.
And when Wink first came to town, they played pretty much beautiful music too, along with Seaview.
Right.
And Super Q was the first FM in Southwest Florida to really go top 40 up against WMYR. And of course, now it is 96 K Rock.
Yep.
But I remember then all of a sudden Wink goes, "Well, these guys are doing really, really good. We need to put a top 40 station together to go after them." And that's when I I was working first in Naples at a country station. There was like you out in a trailer somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
With a tower right next door to it. And then I got called up, what I called, because I was in little Naples back then. It wasn't like a dual market.
Right.
I got called up to the big leagues because I got called up to the 100,000 watt Wink FM.
Woo! Yeah. And again, that's the way it worked in those days, that you moved around and you went to the bigger radio station in a quote unquote bigger city. I mean, like you said, Naples to Fort Myers. Yeah. Okay. But yes. And that's how your career advanced when you were doing the radio thing in that day and age. And again, now, maybe, but not so much. So, wow. We have set the Wayback Machine. Let's bring it back to 2023 here, ladies and gentlemen.
Is that where we are now?
What's that?
Is that where we are? I can't remember what year it is.
I cannot remember. And honestly, it doesn't even matter anymore. It's just whatever you feel like is where you're at. So we're going to take a quick break. Go refill your coffee. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And we will be back in 60 seconds or less.
So, you've got an idea for a business, the store of your dreams. There's just one thing to figure out: everything. That's why Shopify's all-in-one commerce platform makes it easy to sell online, in person, and everywhere else. Sell on social media, source products with an app to get that first sale feeling. It's the only solution that gives you everything you need to sell everywhere you want. So when you're ready to bring your idea to life, power it up with Shopify.
Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/listen.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
And welcome back. I'm Bill Stevens. That's BJ Odom. This is BJ and Bill, the podcast, which is how you find it, by the way. If you want to leave us a review, we would really appreciate those 5-star reviews. They help us out a lot. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, leave a review and a good rating and all of that, and that will help us along. And if you'd like to get in touch, you can do that, of course, as always, BJ and Bill podcast at gmail.com. And as I always say, remember to spell out the A-N-D, BJ and Bill podcast at gmail.com. Look us up on Facebook. Same thing, BJ and Bill podcast. There you go. So, wow, radio history of many years ago.
It's funny how our paths kind of crossed, but then eventually, like a married couple or something. Oh, we saw each other at Bennigan's, and then it's like, but it's like how it all formulated, where you were and I was, and we kind of like we were like cross paths, almost worked together and almost didn't work, and then finally, it all came together.
Yeah, and I mean that's probably not an unusual story, especially Fort Myers. You got to remember, Fort Myers was a small town back then, and so if you were in the radio business, you were going to cross paths with people that you probably would end up working with, or you were friends. Because we were friends with people at all kinds of different radio stations. So now they're out there in the country. I don't mean in the country. I mean, they're spread out across the United States, and, you never know where you're going to see somebody or run into somebody or see them on Facebook. Of course, our old boss is on Facebook, and he's living the retired life up there in the Florida Panhandle. So, people are out there. It's cool.
I need to retire.
You need to retire. I keep thinking I want to retire, but and I don't play golf. I mean, if I play golf every day, that might be different. Of course, I'd have to live at the Villages, wouldn't I? We were just talking about.
You play pickleball every day.
You can't. I mean, I can't physically play pickleball every day. As much as I would love to, my body is not in shape for that. Now, I want to get the body into better shape, which is why I'm continuing to do the diet and the exercise thing and all that I do. So if I could play pickleball 3 or 4 times a week, that would be awesome. Right now it's 1, maybe 2. So, but now, the retirement thing.
Pickleball.
What's that?
Speaking of pickleball.
Yes.
And speaking of our old stomping grounds, Fort Myers, Florida.
Yes.
And last week we talked with Ted Fitzgeorge about the hurricane. A lot, like my brother would come down and camp a lot. He would come down. He was like a snowbird for a month or two, and they live in their camper in one of the,
Right.
campgrounds. Recently, my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, they got into camping, and which in Fort Myers, you can make money doing this. They now go to a campground like December, January, February, March, and they rent their house out and make lots and lots of money. So they go to campgrounds.
Okay. So where house back up north, you mean?
No, they have a house.
Oh.
They have a house in Fort Myers.
Oh, okay.
But they rent out their house during season.
Right.
And they go live in their mobile home.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. But in Fort Myers, or do they travel?
Sometimes they travel a little bit, but the last 2 years they found a place they like in Fort Myers, and they put her there for like 3 or 4 months a year.
Because you can make so much money renting the house out.
Right. Yeah. They make more money renting the house out.
Oh, yeah.
Than they do renting. And it's not cheap to, rent a lot for your camper either in Fort Myers, but
no, not anymore.
They can make more off of their house and stay in a campground, and still make a nice little profit.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But what I was getting at, because of the hurricane.
Yep.
A lot of these campgrounds, they're like in low lying. Let's just say a lot of them got destroyed.
Yeah.
And now it seems to be, they rebuilt after the hurricane, trying to, making things better.
Right.
And now, like probably 3 years ago, 2 years ago, none of them had pickleball courts. None of them even had tennis courts.
Right.
And now it seems like 3 of the campgrounds that never had, they had a swimming pool, maybe horseshoes.
Right.
Now they all got pickleball courts.
Of course. Hello. Because old people can play it. Old people can play pickle. Old people can't play tennis. Well, you could play tennis if you were an old person, but it takes time and effort to learn, and there's more running, so it's harder. So pickleball, you can play. You can just pick up a paddle and you can learn it in 10 minutes. You're ready to go. It's awesome.
Well,
it's awesome.
The wife and I here in our 55 plus community that has pickleball, ready to get in shape and ready to get in the tournaments.
Wait a minute. Wait. I heard BJ Odom say ready to get in shape.
We're not playing pickleball.
Oh, okay.
Over the weekend, my wife bought a cornhole kit.
Oh,
or a cornhole set, or however you say it.
I don't cornhole. I don't know what you call it, but yes, maybe like a set. I don't know, whatever. Yeah.
Like a lot of times we'll drive around the neighborhood and there'll be people in front of their house on the sidewalk, playing cornhole.
Yes.
And we always say, "Oh man, we ought to do this. We need." And you always see people too that if you do it, people come. People, you build it, they will come.
They will come. Right.
And so you get people go by and go, "Oh, that," and they want to play, and they go, "Oh yeah."
Sure.
So it's a good way to meet people too if you're playing, in front of your house.
It's awesome.
So we've had the box since we got back Thursday.
Right.
Because we bought it while we were in Fort Myers.
Okay.
So it's still in the box.
Come on, man. You got to get better than that.
Oh, my wife just said, but it's been nasty out. It has been raining. It's been windy.
The weather has been a little windy. Like that matters to you're throwing a beanbag. Come on.
It can throw it off kilter, damn it.
This is not like pickleball. I was going to play pickleball yesterday and I stepped outside and the wind was howling. And I thought, yeah, no, because you could hit a pickleball and it could end up in the next county. Who knows? but cornhole, come on. Cornhole is the new equivalent of horseshoes, right? I mean,
I think so, probably, yes.
Except horseshoes, you don't have to carry around these heavy duty horseshoes, and you don't have to pound stakes in the ground or anything like that. You just put up the box or the I don't know what you call it, the cornhole, little thingy, and then you throw the beanbag at it.
Yeah,
it's cool. I mean, it is really, and it, it's probably like most of those outdoorsy kind of things. It's a good excuse to drink beer.
And they do have a league and they do have tournaments here in our neighborhood.
Oh, good. So you'll be tuning up for that. So
yeah, we need to get it out of the box here probably this weekend.
I think that might be a good start. Yes, at least take it out of the box. Yes.
And like I said, I think too, it'll be a good way to. Now, it's really weird.
Hmm.
You know, people see me on the radio or hear me on the radio. People, see me in public when I was on the radio. We
Right.
do remotes and we do, special events.
Right.
I travel doing stand-up comedy. So you think he's really outgoing.
Yeah.
I'm the person that really, if there's a murder, if I murdered anybody, they would say he was so to himself. He's
Never
seemed
would have
normal,
thought.
but he just kind of stayed. Because I really, unless I'm going to do a show or I'm,
Right. Right.
I don't venture out.
Right. I'm like that too. I mean, and like you said, I think there's this misperception in for people who don't know media people, that it's like you would think, oh, they're the life of the party. They're out there all the time. They're in front of the crowd. No, not so much. Not
Yeah.
and I was the same. I mean, I'm happy to stand in the back of the room and, whatever. So
Now can I go on stage and fire up a crowd and introduce a band?
sure.
Heck yes.
I've done that
But-
too. Yes.
But if I'm at a concert and I'm not being me, well, I'm being me, but I mean, I'm not being the celebrity or whatever that's bringing on the band. I sit in the corner, listen to the band.
yes.
I'm not one of those people either that are jumping up and down and moving all around. I'm just like, oh, that was a good song.
Yeah, no. Now, I will tell you one thing that did happen to me, or that I did that the last pickleball event that I went to was not, it was just a fun kind of they called it a mixer. So normally they're serious and they play and they're like keep score and all that. And then once a month, the club where I play has a mixer, and the people bring food and beer, and we have a great time, and they give out prizes, and it's just for fun. And so the lady who was organizing it, she has her little, compact speaker that's playing, rock and roll and whatever, and from her phone and all that. And I just happened to be standing next to her, and when the music was playing, we were just chatting about something, and I did the disc jockey thing. I have to admit it, that a song came on, and I did in the business what we call the talk up. I'm like, hey, welcome to the 300 Club for pickleball on a Thursday night. Thanks for coming. And the lady turns and looks at me and like, where did that come from? And I went, oh, I was in the radio business for 25 years. I'm like, no big deal. And she goes, no, I hear that. And I'm like, okay, thanks. Fine. And so the next time, so we play and then we come back. And so the next time she's giving away a prize, she walks over to me with the hat full of tickets, and she says, here, you call it. And so I pulled the ticket out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our next winner is, and I gave it the whole Michael Buffer thing, and so that was the one time I got called out for the radio thing, and it was fun, but I don't seek that stuff out. It was just fun for the moment.
Now, that's still in my element.
That, yes.
If someone asked me to do that, oh yeah, I'll do that.
Oh,
no
sure.
problem.
Absolutely. I'll do it. Absolutely. I enjoy that.
But if it's like going to a party or something, I am the guy in the corner.
Yes.
I'm not the life of the party.
No, but as radio people, we do have that. There's a switch in there, and it's like if the switch gets flipped, okay, the ham comes out. The loud, the whatever. Okay, we need you to be, we need the announcer, Bill. We don't need the quiet Bill. We need the announcer. Okay, I can do that. Yeah, that's it.
Those were the days.
Those were the days, my friends. We thought they'd never end, but then again.
And now it's hard to get, radio people to do that, just due to the simple fact that they might be in Fort Myers, but they live in Nashville, Tennessee, or they live in Oklahoma. They don't, that's the biggest problem in radio right now is what we call in the business. It's either syndicated or voice tracked.
Right.
So if there's a hurricane coming,
right.
Like if something major happens on the weekend, I would say easily 90% of all radio stations throughout the country do not have a live body in the building on the weekends.
Yep. You are right.
And so, I mean, there are a few, I will grant it. And
right.
Congratulations to those. Well done. That's what you need to do. But 90% of them don't. So like if something major happens in your city, like a earthquake or a tornado, it's going to take them an hour to get somebody to the radio station so they can start reporting on it.
If they have somebody that can do that. Yes.
Yeah.
If they have a body available, because they're so thinly staffed that it's like, well, gee, our normal guy who does that is on vacation this week, and so we don't have anybody. So you're calling a salesman or a receptionist to come in and get on the radio or something like that. And yeah, it's painful. It's, well, again, here's two old radio guys talking about, God, it was so much better back in the day. I remember. Yeah, well, good for you,
Now,
Grandpa.
I do know a consultant, and I always say I don't like consultants,
Right.
but he believes being live and local is the way. If radio, that's the big thing. Is radio going to survive?
Yeah.
And they say if radio's, especially now with Pandora,
Yeah.
of course,
Sirius XM.
and you have these, podcasts.
Yes.
So, if things are going to, stay where if it's going to stay relevant,
Right.
it's got to get back to local and live again.
And has it been your experience that you have seen or heard that? Because I'm in Gainesville and I drive by a radio station every day. There's a studio and a building, the usual kind of setup. And I keep thinking, maybe I should stop in there, see if they need a, announcer or something, or even just voice track for something or commercials or something.
Yeah.
And every time I drive by, I'm like, I don't know.
Now, is there cars in the?
Yes.
That's
It's
another
a real
question
live.
to ask.
Yeah, no,
Are
it's
there
a real
cars in
live,
the parking lot?
it's a real live working radio station as best I can tell. I mean, and they have one of those trailers that looks like a giant boom box, that kind of thing from the old days. So good for you. Okay, you're doing it. I don't know. I am guilty of that myself. I have Sirius XM in my car and on the app on my computer, and I can't tell you the last time I listened to a live local radio station, with the exception of the NPR, the public radio station, to listen to the news at 5:00 or something like that, because I don't watch TV news. So I'll listen to the radio if I'm in the car or whatever. But a live local radio station, wow. How about you? I mean, do you listen to them at all still or no?
Oh, yeah, I still do. The last radio
Cool.
station I worked at,
Yeah.
which I have to say, congratulations. They are there pretty much overnights. They don't have a body,
Right.
but they have a body, 7 to midnight. They have a body that gets in there at 5:00. And so really there's only 5 hours on the overnight hour,
Right.
where there's usually not a live body, and they have live bodies on the weekend,
Cool.
and they're very local oriented.
Yeah.
And I think it does them well. They have very good ratings. There's another radio station, not in the area I'm in now, but where we were before, that broadcast. It's satellite, which means, it comes down from somewhere else on a satellite, and they
Right.
play it over their airwaves.
Right.
And I have drove by that place all times of the day, all days of the week. I never see a car there. Once in a blue moon, you might see one.
Yeah.
And that's probably a salesperson or the general manager or the owner going, I got some work I got to do in the office today.
Right. Right.
Got to record some spots that I went out and sold this week.
And that might be it. You're right. That might be it. And I agree with you, but I think I mean, as far as local radio stations being local and having that local bit of information or connection, that's the word, connection to your audience, to your local audience, wherever you might be. I don't know that I don't know that people, especially young people, I don't think they care so much about that. I would like to be wrong, but I don't know.
A year ago, I was doing nights at this radio station I'm talking about,
Right.
which is local and live all the time.
Right.
I did a request show at night. And back, I remember in the day, 15, 20 years ago, you would do a nighttime request show. your phones would ring off the hook. You'd get so many calls, you wouldn't even be able to get them all in a night.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I would do, give the number, do the request show. I would be lucky if I received like 2 an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, people just don't use the radio like they used to.
Exactly.
But you used to be able to call your radio station all time of the day.
Yep.
And someone would pick up the phone. Nowadays, 90% of the time, they don't pick up the phone.
Yep.
Because the program director usually tells them, you can't play requests. Here's the playlist. Here's the order it goes in. Don't mess it up.
Right.
And like Ted said when he was on our show last week,
he
said, "Yeah, back in the 90s, I played whatever I wanted to. I could even bring my records in from home."
Right. He brought his own records in to play his favorites from his record collection on somebody else's radio station, for which they paid, huge amounts of money, to have some Yahoo come in and play whatever the heck he wanted. That's a little crazy. I mean, that would be unheard of now, of course, but even back in the day, that was a little weird, but okay, cool. Great. Whatever. We're just having fun and making money. So all this radio history today, folks, you're really getting an inside look at the business and all of that stuff. I hope it's a little bit interesting for our friends at home or whatever. And that would I'm curious.
I think people who listen to the radio,
right,
this would be quite interesting. And for some, everybody, okay, imagine when you were a little kid.
Ooh, that was too long ago.
And you listen to the radio.
Right.
And you go, there must be a little boy and there must be a little man in that box. And he's playing music and he's talking. But you had a perception of what a radio station looked like. You didn't see the records. You didn't see the turntables.
Right.
I remember when I was young, before I got involved in the world of radio, I just saw a guy that probably sat there and talked.
Yep.
And music played. I didn't have a concept of how the music played, where it came from. I just envisioned the man that sat there and talked between the records.
Okay.
But there's so much more that we learned after we got into the business.
Of course.
But everybody has a perception of what radio is and what they hear. And unless you're in the business, it's probably nothing like what you are getting from your radio.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I always think it's probably like WKRP in Cincinnati.
My mother used to. Where was I when that was on the air? I forget. I was probably you and I, probably back in the day. That was probably right around the same time. And my mother was a big fan of WKRP in Cincinnati, and she would when we talked, she'd like, "Oh, I watched WKRP. Is that what it's like?" And I'm like, "Yes, Mom. Actually, that is exactly what it's like."
Now,
maybe not that funny, but yes, it's just like that.
Yeah, there's always the one salesperson that's like kind of the nerd and kind of like, "Hey, I'm not,"
Yep.
And you always have the receptionist. They're not always looking like Lonnie Anderson,
right?
But you have the receptionist. You have the different.
Yep.
The only thing that got me about that show, to me, that was so unrealistic that I would yell at the TV. Did you ever notice they never wore headphones?
Correct. They never wore headphones.
And in the radio business, you wear headphones. And the reason it is that if your microphone is on while your music is playing, you're going to get feedback.
Right.
And you with your microphone on.
Right.
Coming through a speaker. So you wear headphones and the speaker actually gets blanked out.
Yes.
When you're on the air. But that's the only thing. He's not headphones.
And I'll be honest with you, when you and I record these podcasts, you and I are not wearing headphones, and it looks and feels weird to me to not be wearing the headphones, because I'm sitting in front of an open mic. You're sitting in front of an open mic. Why isn't this feeding back? How does that work? How can I hear you through my computer speakers and it doesn't feed back? I'm like, that's either weird or fancy or some new technology, but it does feel weird to not being wearing headphones. It does.
Now, I told you I was on my son's podcast, the Vinyl Boys.
Yep.
And now they all wear headphones, but they're in different parts. It's weird because I know you've never been in the studio there,
right?
but there's a couch, there's a chair, and then there's like the DJ booth where they spin the records and stuff on Shaq Fu, where they mix the music live in studio. And then there's the board. And so there's really you almost have to wear headphones because everybody's kind of in a different area of the
different
room.
space. Yeah. And that's kind of the way the podcast business goes, because if you watch the video of the podcast, a lot of people will put their podcast on YouTube as a video. You'll see that like they're sitting at couches, they're sitting, they're in lazy boy chairs with the big microphone boom in front of them. And I'm like, wow, I wish I'd have had that when I was on the radio. No, we were sitting in some uncomfortable office chair with a microphone and a board and turntables and, everything around you like a big U-shaped desk and all that. Of course, that was super cool too. But yeah, that's a whole nother way of doing the business.
But then there was the stand-up board.
Where
you actually had a stool, but
yeah,
if you wanted to be really good, because they always said, you project your voice better
when you're
standing.
Which is true. I mean, it was kind of like one of those, radio old wives' tales, but it's true. When you're standing up, you have more of I don't know what the word is, but you have more of a projection, a presence or whatever. And when we were at WOLZ, it was a stand-up board, although like you said, we had a stool to sit on if we wanted to. But yeah, it was a stand-up board, and I thought that was great. I thought that was awesome.
I remember when I worked for my first radio station with a stand-up board, I'm going, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Now it was fun. Give me the stool.
Well, we got older. Yeah. We all got older. That's the way that goes. I love it. Boy, the radio history is coming fast and furious today. I love that. But you're right. I had, just to kind of put a bow on that, your perception of things. When I was like growing up listening to my radio in Cleveland or whatever, you always had that perception, or I did, that it's like, oh, at the radio station, they're out there. They know what's going on in the community. They're connected to all of these people and they're plugged in and they know, and they can pick up, they can get anybody, they can talk to anybody. And you and I kind of did that in the days of oldies, when we were on in our heyday, so to speak, there, when we were the big deal in Fort Myers. We talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people would come back and tell us, oh yeah, I heard what you said about so-and-so and so-and-so. That's the part of radio that I think I miss. Yeah, I miss that. And to me, that's the important part. They changed that, didn't they? I mean, radio used to have this thing about, it's all about community service and all that. And nowadays that's out the window. It's like, how much money can you make? So yeah, I get it. I do. Will it come back? I don't know. I hope
so.
I hope so too. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure how that works, but we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. When the aliens come along and shoot down all the satellites, then we'll have to go back to regular radio. Just made that up.
I don't know who told me this, or if this was my thought or what, because I've had it for so long.
Yes.
And we don't really do politics on this show.
Right.
But I said radio was a lot like politics. You had to go out, shake hands, kiss babies,
right,
and get to know your audience. You just couldn't sit in the studio.
Right.
You needed to get out amongst the people, needed to be with the people. Like I said, shake hands, kiss babies.
Yeah.
That's, and I think that's how we had such strong ratings back in the day, my child.
Back in the day. And you're right. No, you're absolutely positively right, because we did do so much to either be out in the community, when we would do our remote, even if it was something to make money with, you're at a car dealership on a Sunday afternoon or something like that. Some people would stop by just to say hi to BJ or Bill. They weren't looking to buy a car or whatever. They just heard that you were live at XYZ dealership. Oh, let's stop by. Or we would have people come into the radio station and, from various groups and clubs and bands and comedians and all of that stuff. And it was a way of connecting to the community. And it's not happening so much. If it is, I'm not hearing it. Let's put it that way. And it might be my fault that I'm not listening to local radio stations. Maybe I should give them a chance and see what's going on.
Now I will say, like, again, and I've said it before, the last radio station I worked at, is a lot like that.
Cool.
The morning team brings in people.
Yeah.
Very phone oriented.
Yeah.
So they're doing old time radio, but they also have a great program director, and he gets it, and
Right.
that's how he grew up in the business.
As long as are they paying the bills? Are they making money? Is that, that's what matters.
I don't know anything about the
money part. Yeah.
But I do believe, because, you listen to a radio station and I hear a lot of commercials, hear a lot of local commercials.
Yeah.
And so, and they're they're in a little niche. I don't want to call it, because their signal is gigantic.
Oh yeah.
They go from coast to coast, they get into Orlando like it's an Orlando station.
Right.
But yet they really cater to the Polk County, Lakeland area.
Right.
Like we really concentrated really on the Fort Myers County area. Sometimes we be into Charlotte and Collier.
Yep.
And they do the same thing too, but they really concentrate on that local area. And I think they do quite well.
Cool.
I think. Like I said, I don't do the books. I don't know about the books, but I by listening to the station, I would say they do probably pretty well.
Awesome.
I don't even know what their rate is, though. They might be getting.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, now I know they don't, but remember back in the old days of radio too, we used to call it $1 a holler.
That's right.
Like overnights or whatever, or late
That's
night.
Right. That's right.
Commercials for $1 a piece. They called. I'm going to give you $1 a holler.
I remember that well. I
remember in the BJ and Bill days, we were getting over $100 for some commercials.
Yes. The sales manager loved BJ and Bill. Yes.
Because we got $110 for these spots.
We were paying for their new Mercedes. Yes, they loved them. All right, that is going to close the books. See, there was a little book reference there. That's going to close the books on this show. So we're calling this one the Radio History Show. I'm calling it that, and I'm the guy that writes the descriptions. So there you go. So that's what I am calling it. So that's awesome. So as always, if you want to add your comments or your 2 cents on any of this, feel free to get in touch, BJ and Bill Podcast @gmail.com, or just go to the Facebook page, BJ and Bill Podcast, on your handy dandy Facebook app, and you can find us there and leave a comment, and we'll happily respond to you there, right?
Plus, give us that 5-star review and climb us up the podcast ladder.
I don't know it's good for anything, but, when we're selling our advertising, then it'll be important. So we'll appreciate that. So, all right, folks, have a great week. We'll see you next week. Now it's just up to Mr. BJ to say,
see ya.
In a world that's constantly changing, you have to move forward to change with it. At Strayer University, we see you striving to work harder and go further. That's why we provide you with the tools you need to get there, like offering a brand new laptop when you enroll in a bachelor's program, so you can do your coursework anytime, anywhere. Because our greatest strength is helping you unlock yours, so you can always keep striving. Visit strayer.edu to learn more. Eligibility rules, restrictions, and exclusions apply. Connect with us for details.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.